Hey guys, welcome back to another video. In this video, I'm going to show you how to solve a 4x4 for beginners. So let's get right into the video. So for 4x4, there's two methods that you use mainly. The first one is Yau, which most of the fastest solvers use, and I'll show you how you do that. So for Yau, first you solve these two centers, white and yellow, and then you make 3 edges like this. And then once you have these 3 edges done, then you make all 4 centers on this middle layer. And then once you have all these centers done, then you solve the rest of the edges and do a couple parities to solve the rest of the cube just like that. That's what most quicker solvers use, and that's what I use, and it's a bit more complicated, and I have a lot of tutorials on my channels for Yau, so you might want to check them out if you're a quicker solver or you want to be faster. Now for reduction, which is the other method, I'll show you how to do that in this video, and I'll give you an overview on how you do it. So for reduction, what you do is first you solve all the 6 centers like this, and then you basically just do slice, flip, slice, which is a method you use to solve the edges, or just pair the edges to solve the rest of the cube, kind of like this. And then I have that one edge paired, and then I do this for the rest of the edges on the cube, and then you solve it like a 3x3. Those are the overviews of the method. So now that I have my whole cube scrambled, let's get into how to actually solving it. So when solving it using reduction, you use 3 steps. The first one is centers, the second one is edges, and the third one is 3x3 stage or parity, and I'll show you guys how to do all 3 of those in this video. If you guys want to check those out, the timestamps are below if you want to skip to some of the parts. And also, if you would like to buy this cube, it's the YJ MGC 4x4, and I'll link in the description. So for the first step, it's making the centers, and what you first need to do is either find a white bar like I have right here or make one. And if I find these 2 pieces, what you want to do is put them in opposite slices just like this, and then join them together. So as you can see, one's on the left slice and this is a slice right here, one's on the right slice, and then I put them on opposite slices but both on the top, and then I join them together like that. So what you basically just need to find is 2 centers and slice them together just like that. Next, what you do is you find your other one, and I have these 2 right here, and as you can see, they're on opposite slices, and if I join them together, it breaks down the center on the bottom. So what you simply do is just solve one center, and then you rotate it kind of like this, so that when I join them together, it doesn't break it apart since it moves in that slice. And then once you have your 2 bars done, you rotate them, so one's on the left slice, one's on the right, and then you join them together just like that. Now we start with the yellow one. Now if you have a yellow bar made like I have right here, you can join it together, which is convenient for me, but what you also could do is if you have a yellow center on the top, I'll show you how you make a bar using that scenario, and how you do that goes like this. You find the yellow center on the top, and then you find another yellow center that I have like right here, and then you make sure they're on opposite slices like I have like this. So since they're both on the bottom and one's on the left, one's on the right, I join them together just like that. And now what I do to preserve it is I move it a U-turn so that it won't slice down, and then when I slice this piece down to restore that center, and then this bar is fixed. Now if I were to do a U the other way and made sure it was preserved this way, and then I slice down, it would move that to the bottom, but instead what you do is you want to move it to the other side, so when you slice back down, it doesn't go down too. Now the next step is making another bar, and then as you can see, we have these 2 centers right here. And what you simply want to do is you can either rotate it like this, where you make sure one's on the left, one's on the right, and they're both on either the bottom or the top like that, or you can do it sideways, where as you can see, if you slice over and you move that one to the top and you slice over, they're joined together. So you can easily make that center if you just use U-turns and then you use slice moves, and then that won't destroy the white center which you already made. So you slice that over just like that to make your 2 bars, and then how you would make the yellow center is some of you might go like this, where you move it so that you can put the 2 bars together like that, but then that would destroy the white center, which you don't want to do, so you move the white back down. And then the method you use to making these centers is you put both bars on the same side, and then you do R wide, U2, R wide prime, and that makes the center since you hold it up there, and then the white center stays fixed. So that's an overview of making the white and yellow centers. Now what you do is you want to make all the centers that are on this layer, and first what you do is instead of holding it yellow on top, white on bottom, you rotate it like this so that the middle layer is just like that. You guys probably already have experience in making bars, so if you would want to make a bar, you could just make it just like that for the blue, or if you already have a made bar, you can do that. Now I have this bar right here that I made, and then you move it to the side so that when you do slice moves, it doesn't affect it, and then you make your second bar, which I already have made like that. But if it was, for example, like this, then I would make the bar, And then since this one's on the left side, I can put this one on the right, and then I join them together with an R wide too, just like that, so that makes the blue. Now before we start making the second center, I need to tell you guys about center placement. And if I take a 3x3, which I have right here, you see all the centers are solved. And how this works is, since all the centers are solved, there's a specific pattern that it uses, and you have white across yellow, and then orange across red, and blue across green. But there's a specific center arrangement that goes on the middle layer, and it goes blue, red, green, orange, and then when you're moving down, that's the way it goes. And you guys need to follow the center placement, because if I switch red and orange, that could mess up the edges and corners, and that wouldn't work. So what you need to do is you need to go by the method doing blue, red, green, orange, or you could do red, green, orange, blue, or whichever way you do it. You guys just need to know the center placement so that you don't mess it up when you're solving it. Now back to the 4x4. So since it would go blue, red, green, orange, what I want to do is I want to make the red center that's right here. And first what you do is put a piece up there, which I already have. So if I were to put this piece up there, I'd move it up, move it to the side that won't affect it when I go down, which is like that, and then I move it down. So that's how I would move one piece up. But what I'm going to do here is, since I have these two together, I'm going to make sure they're both on the bottom on separate sides. I move this side up, make that bar together, move it to the side that won't affect it when I cancel that move, like that. Then I move it down. And when solving for 4x4, you usually do a move, then do another move, and then you cancel the first move. So that's why we need to do the U in the middle. So when I cancel the first move, it'll restore the rest of the cube, but it won't affect the bar that I just made. Next, you make your second bar using what you already have. And since I already had made it like this, you can either make it, or if you already have made it, you can do it the other way. And then I move it so where I can insert it. And then like I showed you before with the yellow, if I move it up, it'll mess up the blue center. But how we would do it here is to preserve the blue center. What you do is you move both slices on the same side up, do a U2, then move both of them down. And that's how you solve that. Now, if you have a case like this, where you have 3 on one side and then 1 on the other, I'll show you how to do this case. And what you do for this case is you have this one little dot right there, and then you have this V shape right here. And you need to have the center of the V shape and the dot in the same place. So if I have the little centerpiece right here, and then I have the V like this is how it would work. Next, what you do is you would move the slice up with the dot in it, just like that. Then you would rotate this bar to the side and then move it down. And that would solve that center. Now let's get into the last 2 centers. What you would do is you would make 1 bar, and typically you already have 1 bar made, so use that to your advantage. But if you don't, you make 1 bar. And as you can see here, I have most of the orange one solved and then most of the green one. But if I solve the orange one, like I showed you before, that would mess up the placement, since red and orange are not supposed to be next to each other. They're supposed to be opposite. So what I want to do is I want to put the green one up here and then the orange one right here. So you got to keep the center placement in mind. So what I would do is I would make a bar like this, pair them together, rotate so it won't affect it when I slice down, and then move it down. And then you can make your second bar, or if you already have it made, you can put it in just like that. Now, if you have a case like this, where you have the 2 diagonal ones, and then you want to solve the green right there and the orange right there, what you do to pair these up is you make sure your upper bar stays on the side that you won't be slicing. How you would do that is you would just move it to the side that you're not slicing. And then if I'm slicing the left one down, I'd move it down. Then I'd move this one to the right so that they're both on the bottom layer, and one's on the left, one's on the right. Then I would slice back up, and that pairs that bar together. So then I can insert it like I showed you with the other centers. Put them on the both sides, slice, U2, back down. And that's how you pair all your centers together. Alright, so for solving edges, what you first want to do is find 2 edge pairs. Now, as you can see in each of these, we have 2 edges. So in this one, we have blue and white, and then we have red and green. And then what I want to do is find the other blue and white edge. So if I search around the cube, I found it right here, which is conveniently right next to it. But if it was on the back, what you want to do is use the outer layers just to move it so they're next to each other, just like that. Now, if you move the outer layers like this, it won't affect the centers or their placement, so that's why you use the outer layers. Then once I move it back next to each other, what I want to do like this is make sure they're on opposite slices. But since both of these, as you can see, are on the upper slice and one's not on the bottom slice, what I want to do is flip this edge so this one will be on the bottom slice. And how you do that is the flip algorithm will be at the top of the screen, and it goes like this: R, U, R prime, F, R prime, F prime, R. And that flipped that edge just like that. So then when I slice over, it pairs them together. Now that did break up the center, but we'll have a way to fix it, and I'll show you how to do that. So after you slice these together, you look at either at the top or the bottom, and then what you do is you find an incorrect slice. So since this one is not solved, I want to put this one right in this spot. And how you do that is you find an incorrect edge right here, then you move this slice up, insert this edge with a U prime, and then move that slice back down just to fix it, and then you solve the centers back. And now all the centers are back solved, and you have this edge. Now you do this for the rest of the edges, but since, as you can see, I have this blue and white edge solved on the top, I want to use the middle layer to solve these edges because the top and the bottom will be preserving the edges, and I don't want to break these edges. So for example, if I have this yellow and green one right here, and I have the other yellow and green one right here, instead of pairing it up something like this, where I would also have that blue one in the same middle layer, what I want to do is I want to keep the top layer right here and the bottom layer right there, and I want to keep it like this until I have all my edges paired, and then I can just insert this edge into this spot right here just like that, and then I can pair these yellow and green ones up by flipping that edge, then slicing, inserting an incorrect one, and then slicing back. So you want to make sure that the top is solved edges and the bottom is, but you want to utilize the middle layer for unsolved edges. Now another method to pairing edges is called the slice flip slice back method, and how you do that is you see I have these two red and yellow ones right here, and then they're both on the top layer, so if I wanted to I could flip it, then slice, and then put an incorrect edge in and then slice back. But another way I could do it is if I have these two edges right here, and you need to make sure that they're both on the top layer, because if one's on the bottom layer it wouldn't work, but since they're both on the top, you slice over, then you flip this edge using the flip algorithm that I showed you earlier, and then you slice back, and that pairs the edge too. And then you can still insert an incorrect edge, which is another way to do it. So using the flip algorithm and doing the slice, insert a bad edge, and then slice back method, you should get almost all your edges done. But if you have 4 or less edges left, then I'll show you how to do that. Now as you guys can see, all the 4 edges on my top are all solved, and then all the 4 edges on my bottom are also all solved, but the middle layer is not solved. Now what you want to do is you want to find the edges in the middle layer that have matching edges, and you can move the cube around to do this too. So if I have this one with red and white right here, and I have this other one with red and white right there, then I want to put these edges next to each other. And then what you want to do is you want to make sure both edges are both on the bottom layer or the top layer, and if they're not, you can flip an edge just like that. And then since they're both on the bottom layer, what you want to do is you want to do the slice flip slice method that I showed you before. So I slice over like this, since they're both on the bottom layer this time. I flip this edge, and then I slice back just like that, and that solves that edge. Then you want to do this for the rest of them. Now that you have all your edges done, you want to solve your cross and then do F2L, and then I'll show you what you do from there. So as you guys can see, I have my cross done and I have my F2L done. Now on the top layer, you may come to one of these cases that looks just like this, where you have 3 edges left. And in 3x3, you're taught to solve if you only have 2 edges, 0 edges, or 4 edges. But if you have 3 edges like this, or 1 edge just like this, how you do it is you do a parity algorithm, and I have a video on parity that I'll have linked in the description, but I'll also show you how to do it in this video. Now this parity algorithm is a bit long, and how you do it is you put the flipped edge in the front just like that, and then you do the algorithm. And that should flip the front edge. So that's what's known as OLL parity. And then once you finish your OLL parity and you solve it, so you have the cross like this, then you do your algorithm, and then you get to PLL. Now for these parities, they only sometimes happen and they don't always happen. So you could get a parity skip occasionally, but most of your solves you have either one of these parities, so that's why I'm teaching them in this video. Now once you get to PLL, you could either recognize from the spot that you have a wrong PLL, or you could solve all your corners to get to that other spot. So if I were to solve my corners like this, and I have these 2 corners that are solved right here, and I need to swap these 2, I do the J perm or T perm or whatever you use, and then I see that I can't solve these two. There is no 3x3 algorithm to swap two edges, so I need to use a parity algorithm. And this PLL parity can work in any way. All you need to do is keep the PLL layer on top, and if you need to swap these two, or if they're next to each other, whichever case you have, you do this algorithm and it goes just like this. And that swaps the two edges that are across from each other. Then you can either have your cube solved, or you do the finishing PLL to finish off the cube. Alright, that's it for this video on me teaching you guys how to solve a 4x4 Rubik's Cube. If you have any questions, be sure to comment them down below. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you haven't already, please be sure to like and subscribe, and I'll catch you all in the next one.